Imagine standing before a door that no one has ever opened. Behind it is not metal or stone, but the secrets of the earth. Natural wonders that the world rarely talks about, places that time and space seem to have forgotten. No signs, no tourists, just wind, rocks, and whispers in the dark. 1. Kelimutu Lake, Indonesia. On the island of Flores, between the volcano and the sky, there are 3 lakes sitting next to each other like 3 strange mirrors of the earth. They do not have a fixed blue color, but change constantly, from green, turquoise, to deep red or deep black. Each lake has its own personality, like 3 different moods of this planet. The indigenous people believe that after death, the souls of people will come here, choosing a lake according to the life they have lived. Science explains it as a chemical change due to minerals and volcanic gases. But when you stand before that scene, you will understand why people always see the sacred in nature. 2. Plitvice Lakes, Croatia. In a green valley, the lakes are connected by hundreds of white waterfalls. The strange thing is that the water in Plitvice can change color in just a few hours. Blue in the morning, turquoise at noon, and pale yellow in the afternoon. Beneath the calm lake surface are mysterious limestone swirls, where tree trunks have been submerged in water for years without rotting. It is said that standing here, time stands still. Sometimes when night falls, the water surface glows dimly, a natural light that makes visitors stand for hours just listening to the whispers of the forest and waterfalls. 3. Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. There is a place on the planet that seems like it came from another world. The Danakil Depression, located deep below sea level. The temperature here can reach 46 degrees all year round. The air is thick with the smell of sulfur. On the ground, there are green acid lakes, bright yellow sulfur patches, and endless white salt flats. The extraordinary thing is that even in this hell, life still exists. Extreme bacteria survive and thrive. Looking at Danakil, we can't help but wonder, if life exists here, then on Mars or other distant planets, are there also strange lives waiting for us to find? 4. Benguela Cave, Portugal. Hidden under the Atlantic cliffs is a little-known wonder, Benguela Cave. Accessible only by boat or swimming, inside the cave is a golden sandbank isolated from the outside world. The soaring stone dome has a giant round hole called the Eye of the Sky. Light passes through it, shining on the sand, turning the entire cave into a glowing sea temple. The sound of waves echoes in, blending into a natural melody. People who enter often stand still, looking up at that light, feeling like they are standing in a cathedral of the ocean. 5. Tsingy de Bemaraha, Madagascar. In Madagascar, there is a forest that is not made of trees, but of limestone. Thousands of stone pillars rise up like sharp swords, forming a strange, natural maze. The natives call this place the place where you cannot walk barefoot. Below are dark, unexplored caves. Above is the sky cut into pieces by rocks as sharp as blades. This is not only a geological landscape, but also a sacred place in indigenous beliefs, where ancestors still reside among the rocks and wind. 6. Eye of the Sahara, Richet structure, Mauritania. From above, in the middle of the vast, arid Sahara Desert, there appears a giant eye, so round and clear that astronauts can see it from space. People call it the Richet structure, or Eye of the Sahara. The concentric circles of stone, dozens of kilometers wide, create the feeling of an ancient symbol carved into the ground. At first, many scientists thought this was the remnants of a meteorite impact, but then discovered that it was formed from millions of years of natural weathering and erosion. The ancient rock layers, some more than 100 million years old, gradually eroded to reveal an incredibly perfect circle. Under the sunlight, the stone circles change color, sometimes silver gray, sometimes golden brown, sometimes glowing red, creating the feeling that the entire desert is breathing slowly. Nomads around the area still tell each other stories that this place is the eye of the earth, watching every step of people. And when you stand in the middle of that immense space, surrounded by only sand, wind, and endless stone circles, you will feel so small, as if you are being silently observed by an ancient wisdom. 7. Caño Cristales River of Five Colors, Colombia. In the middle of the Colombian jungle, there is a river with a magical name, the river that flows from heaven. Caño Cristales is unlike any other river on earth because for a few short months from June to November, it turns into a colorful ribbon stretching hundreds of kilometers. On the riverbed, an aquatic plant called Macarinia clavigera blooms in the special light and flow, creating a brilliant red, alternating with green, yellow, purple, and blue. From a distance, the river is no longer flowing water, but a soft rainbow in the middle of the forest. When the sunlight shines down, the water reflects the light, creating a shattered mirror illusion, making the entire river seem to melt into a surreal world. Small waterfalls, clear lakes, and ancient rock crevices under the river add to the mysterious landscape. The locals consider this a sacred gift from heaven and earth, a place where nature wants to remind people that beauty is not always eternal. It only exists in a moment, short but breathtakingly brilliant. Anyone who has stood on the banks of Caño Cristales during the water lily season will admit that the feeling is like being lost in a dream too real to forget, too fragile to hold on to forever. 8. Socotra Island, Yemen. Far from the mainland of Yemen, floating in the middle of the Indian Ocean, is an island so strange that some call it another planet on Earth. Socotra Island has been virtually isolated for millions of years, and that isolation has created a world of its own, where 37% of plant species exist nowhere else. Step foot on the island, and you'll see dragon's blood trees growing like giant inverted umbrellas, with a dark red sap that was once considered dragon's blood. The natives used it as medicine, incense, and even as a dye for sacred ceremonies. The island's climate is harsh, hot, and dry, but the valleys remain green thanks to the tree roots that reach deep into the ground. Strange forests rise up like a mirage between the rocky desert and the steep mountains. The birds, reptiles, and insects on Socotra have also evolved in their own unique ways, becoming creatures unique to the planet. There are lizards found only here, and birds found nowhere else. Standing on the cliffs overlooking the deep blue sea, time seems to slow down. Socotra is more than just an island. It is an ancient book of evolution, a testament to how life can exist and develop in its own unique way when given enough time and silence. Travelers often leave with the feeling that they have set foot on a world not yet written on familiar maps. 9. Svartifoss Waterfall, Iceland. In the middle of the wild mountains of Iceland, there is a waterfall that drops like a white silk from a height of more than 20 meters. But what makes this place mysterious is not just the waterfall, but the scenery that surrounds it. Svartifoss, meaning black waterfall, is surrounded by vertical basalt columns arranged in rows like giant organ pipes. These columns are made from volcanic lava that cooled slowly over thousands of years, then arranged themselves into a perfect hexagonal shape. As the water from the waterfall falls, the sound echoes off the cliff, creating a strange echo, like a melody coming from the ground itself. Under the sunlight, the surface of the stone column shines blue, silver, or deep purple depending on the time of day. Many architects in Iceland have been inspired by Svartifoss to design churches and buildings, because in its beauty, They see a combination of solemnity, pride, and the tranquility of nature. Standing in front of Svartafoss, one feels like one is in a cathedral of stone and water, where all other sounds recede, leaving only the whisper of the waterfall and the ancient breathing of the earth. It is not only a beautiful sight, but also a reminder that the greatest art sometimes requires no human hand, but was written by nature millions of years ago. 10. Samak Lenqua, Maranhenses, Brazil. If one day you set foot in northeastern Brazil, you will see a sight that your eyes will find hard to believe. The Lenqua Maranhenses desert covers more than 1,500 kilometers, a vast sea of white sand like giant canvas stretching endlessly. But the miracle is, between those towering sand dunes, after each rainy season, turquoise and green lakes appear. Thousands of large and small lakes stretching out one after another, like sparkling gems scattered on a pure white background. Each lake has a different depth. Some are knee-deep, some are several meters deep, and the color of the water changes with the sunlight. Sometimes jade, sometimes blue, sometimes a soft golden light. People call this a desert that is not a desert, because unlike the arid and dead, Lenqua is alive with schools of small fish that hide under the sand during the dry season and come back to life when the rains return. From above, the entire desert looks like a surreal painting. Sand and water, white and blue, light and shadow, intertwined like the brushstrokes of a cosmic artist. Walking among the soft sands, touching the cool water, we feel like we have just been lost in another world, where the laws of nature seem to be different from what we know. Standing before Lenqua Maranhenses, the traveler often just keeps silent. Not because of the lack of words to describe, but because all words become too small before a beauty beyond explanation. 11. Dead Vlei, Namibia. In the heart of the ancient Namib Desert, where red sand dunes nearly 1,000 meters high rise like giant ocean waves, there is a small valley that makes anyone who sets foot there speechless. People call it Dead Vlei, Dead Pool. This place used to be a green oasis, nourished by the Saushub River. But then, the water dried up. The harsh climate of the desert killed everything. The camel thorn trees that once stretched out to welcome the sun are now just dark logs, standing motionless on the cracked white ground. The strange thing is that even after more than 600 years of death, the trees have not rotted. The air is so dry that decomposition cannot occur, turning them into natural statues, frozen in time. The scene creates a stark and beautiful contrast. The sky is a deep blue without a cloud. The sand is red as fire. The white earth is dazzling in the sunlight. And the black trees are like eternal ghosts. Standing in the middle of Dead Vlei, you will feel like you are lost in another planet. There is no sound of wind, no birds, only an eerie silence. But that silence brings a sacred feeling, as if you are standing in an invisible church, where nature keeps silent to tell people the story of life, death, and endurance through time. Dead Vlei is not only a wonder, it is also a mirror reflecting our fragile condition, the small ones walking amidst the eternity of the earth. 12. Tongariro National Park, New Zealand. In the heart of New Zealand's North Island, there is a place that feels like a different world to anyone who sets foot in. Tongariro National Park is not only a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but also a sacred place for the Maori people. Here, volcanoes still breathe. White smoke rises from their vents. Red soil is streaked with minerals, and amidst this harsh landscape, emerald green lakes appear. They are called the Emerald Lakes. Their magical green color comes from the dissolution of sulfur and silica minerals in the water. In the morning, when the cold mist still covers them, the green lakes radiate a soft light, reflecting the sky like precious stones. At noon, When the harsh sunlight shines down, the water surface sparkles like molten metal. Hikers often stop for a long time, not only because of their beauty, but also because of the sacred feeling, as if the lakes are the eyes of the earth, looking deep into the human soul. All around, crimson cliffs and ash valleys create a landscape both wild and fierce. At times, the ground trembles gently, reminding us that this place is alive, still changing. The Maori consider Tongariro to be the land of their ancestors, where the gods dwell. Standing on the Tongariro Alpine Crossing Trail, you are not only walking through a volcanic landscape, but also through a living history of nature and people, bound together by awe and gratitude. Coming to Tongariro, you realize that nature not only creates beauty, but also teaches us humility. When faced with the forces of earth, fire, water, and time, we are just small travelers, passing through a brief moment on this planet. 13. Isquigualasto, Argentina. In the far northwest of Argentina, nestled among the arid mountains of the San Juan Desert, lies a region that has earned an enchanting name, Isquigualasto, or Moon Valley. Huasen. It's no coincidence that the name is so evocative, as stepping inside feels like stepping into an alien world. The soil here is discolored, and wind and time have eroded the ground into strange shapes. Giant mushroom-like stone columns, orbs that have been carefully placed by someone, and layers of multicolored sediments that look like the pages of an ancient book. What makes Isquigualasto such a treasure trove is not just the surreal beauty of the landscape, but the fossils that lie beneath the ground. This is one of the few places in the world that preserves dinosaur traces from the Triassic period, more than 230 million years ago, the early period when giant creatures ruled the earth. The fossils here are not just fragmented bones, but many are still almost intact, telling the story of the evolution of life. In the afternoons, when the sun is slanting down, the entire valley glows silver gray, and the wind whistles through the crevices of the rocks, creating a sound like a whisper from the past. It is said that some rocks, when tapped, will resonate like bells, making this land even more mysterious. For the indigenous people, Isquigualasto is not only rocks and fossils, but also a door leading to the memory of the earth, where the past has never truly slept. Standing in the middle of the Moon Valley, you will realize all beauty will eventually fade. But the memories that nature leaves in the ground are immortal stories, told to travelers from the future. 14. Cathedral Gorge, Nevada, USA. In the middle of the arid Nevada desert, there is a narrow valley where the earth and time have joined together to build roofless churches. People call this place Cathedral Gorge. Millions of years ago, this land was submerged under an ancient sea. Then, through heavy rains and constant flow, the clay was eroded into towering, narrow, sinewy towers, like giant stone pillars holding up the sky. When the sun rises, light shines down through the narrow gaps just a few feet wide, turning the entire scene into a painting of light and shadow. Each clay wall glows with a different color, sometimes red like burning coals, sometimes pale orange like honey, then deep purple at sunset. Walking through these narrow corridors, one feels as if one is walking among living walls, listening to the silent breathing of the earth. The sounds are strange too. The wind whistling through the narrow crevices sounds like unexpected chords. The footsteps echo like drum beats from the depths of the earth. Someone once said that Cathedral Gorge is a cathedral without human hands, where earth, water, and time have become the most patient architects. Standing in the middle of the canyon, looking up at the deep blue sky divided by vertical earthen towers, you will feel very small. But in that smallness, there is a great feeling that nature always knows how to create sacred beauty, if only people are willing to listen and look up. 15. Lake Unianga, Sahara, Chad. In the middle of the dry Sahara, where summer temperatures often exceed 50 degrees and hot winds blow relentlessly, it is hard to believe that there exists a chain of vast lakes like giant oases. They are called Unianga Lakes, a rare wonder where fresh water and salt water coexist in a thirsty land. Seen from above, the turquoise lakes stretch out on the golden sand, like pearls lost in the vast desert. What makes this place all the more mysterious is the delicate but enduring balance. Some are fresh water, harboring moss, algae, and tiny fish. Others are too salty for any living creature to tolerate. They lie side by side, sharing the same parched sky, the same land with no rivers. Rainfall is scarce, underground rivers are absent. Yet somehow these lakes never dry up. In the early mornings, the calm surface of the lake reflects the bare, rocky mountains, creating a surreal feeling. At noon, when the sun burns, the water turns turquoise or dark red due to algae growth, adding to the magical landscape. Scientists compare this place to Mars because the existence of lakes in the barren landscape is difficult to explain. For the nomads who live in the area, Unianga is not only a source of life, but also a sacred place. They believe that the lake is a gift from their ancestors, a testament to the patient strength of life even in adversity. As for visitors, standing before Unianga, one can only remain silent, letting the silence and vastness of the desert remind them that nature always knows how to keep its secrets to itself. 16. Lago di Dorapis, Alps. At an altitude of more than 1,800 meters above sea level, among the limestone cliffs of the Alps, there is a lake with such a brilliant turquoise color that anyone who sees it for the first time will think they are standing in front of a surreal painting. People call it Lago di Dorapis, the hidden gem of the glaciers. The lake water is formed from ice that has melted over thousands of years, carrying with it a layer of fine rock dust. It is these mineral particles that reflect the sunlight and dye the entire lake a unique shade of blue. Surrounding the lake are ancient pine forests, green moss, lichens, and countless small mountain flowers, tenaciously clinging to the cold ground. In summer, the lake's surface is as smooth as a mirror, reflecting the sky and snow-capped mountains, creating the feeling that the whole paradise is contained within its waters. But when winter comes, the lake freezes completely, turning into a giant crystal sheet, where the light shines down and sparkles like thousands of diamonds scattered on the ground. Lago di Dorapis is not only beautiful, but also fragile. The local government has banned swimming, camping, and littering, because even the slightest change could destroy the purity that nature has carefully preserved for thousands of years. Travelers who come here can only stand on the shore, silently watching and feeling the silence that pervades, as if time has stopped. Standing before that turquoise, you will feel a strange respect rising in your heart. Lago di Dorapis is like a reminder. What is most fragile is often what is most precious. 17. Skellig Michael, Ireland. Off the west coast of Ireland, amidst the fierce waves of the Atlantic Ocean, a sharp, majestic, and lonely rocky island emerges. People call it Skellig Michael, St. Michael's Rock. From afar, the island looks like a giant spear rising from the sea, surrounded by clouds and the sound of waves all year round. But what makes this place a wonder is not only the wild landscape, but also the ancient monastery built in the 6th century, perched precariously at an altitude of more than 200 meters above sea level. To reach the top, one must climb over 600 rugged stone steps, with no railings, only the cold wind and the deep abyss beside them. The ancient monks lived in small circular stone huts, completely self-sufficient, collecting rainwater for drinking, growing vegetables, and withstanding the ocean storms. After more than 1,000 years, the hand-stacked stone walls still stand firm, defying storms and time. Today, Skellig Michael is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. Any traveler who is lucky enough to set foot here will bring with him a feeling of both admiration and horror. Admiration for the resilience of people who dare to build a life in the middle of the dangerous ocean, and horror at the sacred solitude of the island. Standing on the top, looking out over the vast ocean, one easily feels like one is at the intersection between the earthly and the sacred world, where the sea, rocks, and sky become one. Skellig Michael is more than just a monument. It is a symbol of faith, patience, and spiritual strength. A reminder that even in the harshest places, people can still find peace of mind. 18. Phong Nha, Ca Bang, Vietnam. In the midst of the majestic Trong Son mountain range, there is a land where time has carved out masterpieces that cannot be found anywhere else. That is Phong Nha. Ca Bang, a national park recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, which contains limestone blocks that are more than 400 million years old. One of the oldest landforms in Asia. Over millions of years, rain, wind, and underground rivers have eroded and deepened, leaving behind a giant maze of caves, rocky mountains, and underground rivers that stretch endlessly. Phong Nha is famous for its majestic caves. Some are tens of kilometers long. Some contain thousands of stalactites shimmering like crystals, hanging like natural towers. Son Dung Cave, the precious gem of Ca Bang, is considered the largest cave in the world, with a dome as high as a skyscraper, containing both primeval forests and underground rivers. Entering there, people suddenly become incredibly small, like just a grain of sand floating in the ocean of time. Not only is Phong Nha, Ca Bang a magnificent landscape, it is also home to a rich diversity of life. More than 100 species of animals, 300 species of birds, and countless endemic creatures. This was once a shelter for indigenous people for thousands of years, and also marked in history as an important wartime base. This land, therefore, is both a geological book and an epic of nature and humanity. Standing on the banks of the Sun River, watching the emerald green water meandering between the rugged mountains, listening to the cicadas and the wind echoing into the deep cave, we seem to hear the heartbeat of the earth echoing from millions of years ago. Phong Nha, Ca Bang is not only a wonder, but also a reminder that nature is the living memory of the planet, and it is our responsibility to preserve that memory for future generations. 19. Yangi Canyon, Turkmenistan. Deep in the harsh semi-desert of Turkmenistan, there is a little-known place whose beauty seems to come straight out of a surreal painting. That is Yangi Canyon, a canyon carved by nature over millions of years of wind, rain, and time. The steep cliffs are hundreds of meters high, layered with layers of multicolored sediments, sometimes gray-white, sometimes bright red, sometimes glowing yellow like fire. In the morning, the canyon lights up with gentle colors, and at sunset, the entire space explodes in red like giant walls of fire embracing the sky. What makes this place special is that it is almost completely isolated from the modern world. There are no tourist services, no signs, no noisy crowds. To reach Yangi Canyon, you have to travel a long distance through dry land, where only wind and sand are your companions. But it is this isolation that has kept Yangi Canyon pristine, untouched by human intervention. The acoustics in the canyon were also extraordinary. The wind whistled through the crevices of the rocks, creating long echoes that sounded like ancient songs from underground. In some places, the light shone obliquely, painting pictures of colors that changed every minute, giving one the feeling of entering a giant art gallery created by nature. Standing in the middle of Yangi Canyon, you realize that beauty is not always found in crowded, famous places. Sometimes, It is hidden in remote lands, where only those who dare to travel and seek it can encounter it. And when you see it, you will understand that Yangi Canyon is not just a canyon, but an eternal flame of time recorded in stone. 20. Namib Desert, Africa. Stretching along the west coast of Africa, the Namib is considered the oldest desert on the planet, having formed over 55 million years ago. It is a world of fiery red sand, relentless winds, and 300-meter-high dunes rising like soft mountains. But what makes the Namib so mysterious is not just its ancient age, but the presence of strange circles scattered across the land, called fairy circles. Each circle ranges from 2 to more than 15 meters in diameter, lying alternately like a giant picture drawn in the sand. No one knows for sure what caused them. Some theories say they are traces of termites or insects underground. Others say plants distributed themselves to survive in harsh conditions. But for the indigenous Himba people, these circles are the footprints of gods, the places where the souls of ancestors have walked to bless this dry land. As the sun rose, the light made the circles stand out against the red sand, as if someone had drawn giant symbols with a fire pen. From above, the entire desert turned into an abstract patterned carpet, both beautiful and creepy. The Namib is not only a mysterious place, it is also home to many amazing creatures. Beetles that collect dew on their backs to drink, Welwitschia mirabilis trees that live for thousands of years with just a few giant leaves, and herds of antelope that adapt to the extreme heat. All of this contributes to a unique ecosystem. Standing in the middle of the Namib, with the wind blowing and the sand stinging your skin, you will feel the power of time. This desert is like a giant mirror, reflecting both the fragility and resilience of life. And those fairy circles, although no one has yet to decipher them, silently remind you that the earth always keeps secrets for itself beyond human imagination.